I haven't been actively reading comments on YouTube for about 2 years now. I only see the ones that I get notifications for and the ones that are posted during the first hour after a video goes up. I have seen people comment about how I've become overly negative about the show and constantly complaining about its quality. Honestly, yeah, that's fair. Because the show has been getting worse and worse each year. Everything's repeated, there are gags for the sake of gags, certain queens will always be pushed, others will be completely ignored. Why can't you just enjoy the show? Somebody might ask. You can enjoy something while at the same time criticizing it in hopes of it becoming better. For example, Drag Race UK Season 4 has been very enjoyable. Danny Beard is just made for TV and seems like the nicest person ever. Black Peppa just oozes confidence and is stunning. Cheddar Gorgeous is visually and audibly orgasmic to watch. Dakota Schiffer is maybe the most adorable person we've ever seen on the show. I also applaud this season for bringing back the runway challenge in episode 3, for Baby's storyline and giving her a heroic, triumphant exit, and for there not being an unnecessary filler episode. Yet. Since the world is not black or white, but there's a lot of gray and then there's also loads of color, nothing is 100% positive. Nothing is 100% negative either. With all that good stuff in this season, I also have to point out a massive negative that's a product of a constant on Drag Race: the mistreatment of Le Fil. If you enjoy what I do here and would like to see more content like this or any other type of content, you can like, comment, and subscribe to show your support. You can further do that by joining my Patreon like all of these lovely people here. I'm not saying that there is an episode of Heroes vs. Villains waiting for you there, I am simply suggesting it. Recently, I did a video covering the mistreatment, misrepresentation, and lack of representation of Native Americans on Drag Race. For that video, I did read the comments because that's an important topic that I care about, and I think it's more important than pretty much anything else I've ever done. And I was heavily disappointed and discouraged. So I hope the same won't happen with this video. Le Fil is a drag artist of Chinese descent. Now, Drag Race's problem of mistreatment of East and Southeast Asian queens and lack of representation on non-Asian spin-offs has been a thing more or less since season 1. While they are better represented than the Native Americans, they rarely get admirable edits. Le Fil is a very good example of that. We have seen 5 episodes of this season, and they have been the only queen without a legitimate storyline, or without a longer spotlight. I wouldn't say that they are at the Candy Ho levels of ignored, but they definitely are treated as Le Filler. In episode 1, Le Fil was safe. These kinds of challenges where queens only have to present looks that they brought from home are not very productive, as they often come down to only your personal taste, or the judge's personal taste. Basically, there isn't much objectiveness there. For example, I adored Le Fil's looks, especially their Who Are You look. I loved it for the fact that they're literally answering the runway team's question. You look at it and you're like, okay, so it's all red. Red is a very important color in Chinese culture, signifying luck, happiness, joy, life, celebration, etc., etc. And the way that Le Fil presented the look, taking up space on the runway, for me was great, and I got it. But again, that's just me. The judges did not respond to it. Episode 2's outcome was so annoying. 6 winners. Really? That disrupts the narrative, the storytelling, and the general fairness of the competition. Le Fil was declared as one of the winners of the Maxi Challenge, while at the same time getting crumbs basically throughout the episode. In their pre-season interview with BBC, Le Fil said that they are able to sing, write songs, act, dance, style, and create. They have an eye for detail. So, for an episode that's built around songwriting, singing, and performing, even though they technically won, Le Fil got virtually nothing. Baby, who's also a songwriter and a good singer and a performer, had the episode structured around her. I think her story of, you did well but you were in the wrong team, would have been even stronger if Le Fil had been shown more prominently as just having it easy in a way. So Basically, a supporting character with substance. I'm not arguing here that Le Fil needs to be the main character just because she's Asian. There are enough people on the internet arguing that somebody should have a spotlight just because of their race. Whichever side of the ideological spectrum they are at. No. It's totally fine for somebody to be a supporting character as long as they're also well developed. What isn't fine is when somebody is used as a supporting character without having any substance to them. That's exactly what happened to Le Fil in episode 3. Le Fil seemingly did most of the work in designing and creating the outfits, so much so that Sminty tanked them on the runway. And who was that episode's story about mostly? Sminty. Le Fil then gets into a 2-episode low streak in episodes 4 and 5. For episode 4, I really cannot complain. Le Fil was neither horrible nor okay in the improv challenge, so a low placement is quite just for them. However, episode 5 really just... you know... So they had a rusical, and Le Fil's part consists of her first just standing on the stage, having nothing to do, no lines, no choreography, and also not even getting to interact with anything. I'm not even kidding. The point of their role in the beginning was just to stand there as a setup for the beginning, so that we, the audience, can assume that their character will start off the rusical, and then there being a twist of that character disappearing until the end. I have to say this again. Le Fil had to do nothing. However, the show gives us this long shot of them doing what they're supposed to do, but the edit is like, oh my god, look how wooden and bad of a performer Le Fil is. Punished for doing what they're supposed to. That's new. Later, when Le Fil's character rejoins the rusical, Le Fil kills it. They're funny, their singing is flawless, they have the choreo down, they even add some slapstick that we know Rue likes. Up until that point, their edit in the episode was of a contestant unsure how they'll do in a challenge. Messing up here and there, sure, in the rehearsals, but in the actual performance, there is no messing up. And then, on the runway, Le Fil comes out in another gorgeous look, answering the runway's theme that also represents them well and that represents their culture. And then they're low. What? Le Fil doesn't even get that many negative critiques. They literally got less negative critiques than Jombers. With all due respect to Jombers, but like, really? She did not get the filler queen edit this season while having a filler track record? But Le Fil did? I have to laugh at this point. Let's listen to the critiques that Le Fil got.
Up next, Le Fil. Dance, sing, and do that staccato machine gun delivery of all those naughty words and not miss a word or fluff.
I think that you did pretty well. I don't think you could have taken it as far as you could have taken it. In theater, you literally have to lay it all on the line.
What the fuck does that even mean, Michelle?
This, I Love the King and I, it's just beautiful.
The intricacy and the detailing is just marvelous. Can I have a look more at...
Of course, anytime.
I mean...
Look, that's insane. Yeah, it's just wonderful.
Props to Alan for being able to say at least something about Le Fil's look that isn't just, that is gorgeous, and you are you, and that's great. A constant on Drag Race judging when it comes to any culture that isn't Western white or Western black.
Just utterly charming.
Thank you.
In the Brusco, you were fantastic, but we're splitting hairs here. I wanted your own personal stamp on it.
Just look at RuPaul's face while giving Le Fil that last critique. Have you ever seen somebody coming up with bullshit on the spot? Yeah, that's that face, that's it. Listen, I get it. Nobody did extremely poorly this week, so Le Fil was low as collateral damage. But my question is, why have they been that throughout the entire season? Furthermore, why even have the collateral damage placement? You did not need one this week, and you still could have had a low placement. Pixie Polite, again, with all due respect, was forgettable in the rusical. Even when she had her own solo moments, the show wasn't doing a close-up on her. They're literally telling us, do not pay attention to her. here. They used Pixie Solo to paint Le Fil as a low-placing queen. And then Pixie's storyline in the season is literally tied to her always being worse than Danny and riding her coattails. The storyline could have easily been, hey Pixie, you should have fought for yourself and not swapped roles with Danny, and then you would not have been here. And on the runway, why didn't Pixie get a critique that she did not make the look she chose her own, like Le Fil did for the Rusical? Also, if they were also allegedly good at the Rusical, why not have a save high win episode, like they did with Daytona Wind? If they wanted, they could have split hairs so much more easily on that episode of Drag Race US. Is it maybe because competition performance has very little to do with placements nowadays on Drag Race, and everything is more or less pre-planned so that the show gets best publicity in the eyes of the hive mind audience that quite often forgets about Asian queer people, just because it's not popular to stand up for them. If you are a viewer of mine and are of Asian descent, specifically East or Southeast Asian, please shoot me an email. I would love to expand on this topic some more and hear your thoughts on the subject. I asked my supporters on Patreon their thoughts on the whole Le Fil ordeal. Here's what I had to say. First, Max said this: I think Le Fil's placements were kinda justified. She was low by default, I think. Honestly, she, Cheddar, and Peppa could have all been there and it would have felt strange in every case. They had to fill the spot with someone and they maybe cared about her at least. If they really thought everyone did so well, why even have the low placement? But it's alarming that they give her this little of airtime and or storyline, even though she's one of the strongest competitors of this season. And the only Sean also said, I think she's getting a filler edit. This episode, though, had two worrying elements of mistreatment. The first, and most glaring, was the othering of her runway look. While she was told it was gorgeous, it was sexualized in a way that the other looks were not, despite some also being sexy. Opening up the look to the bare chest is evidence of this, and is reflective of the Western gaze on Asian bodies. I was also a little taken aback by the praise for the staccato in the Rusical. It was fine. It was the part. I don't know if it was exceptional. Perhaps this is overanalysis, but I do wonder if there was a racist undertone to that critique of speech. At this point, we all know she's not winning the season. I think we've known that from day one. Danny, Dakota, Cheddar, and Peppa are likely the top four. The show is very transparent. And that's it. That's the video. What do you guys think? Are we just all reading too much into it? Are our biases just getting in the way and Le Fil is actually trash that deserves no screen time like the show is showing us? This video is gonna go out 2 hours before the 6th episode of UK Season 4 comes out on WoW+, so we'll see if anything will change in Le Fil's treatment. Thank you for watching.